Hi, Pisces. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for December 2019. For you, Pisces, there's some 10th house activity and most particularly a big concentration in the 11th house of friends, groups, communities, ideals, and ideologies is coming this month. Julia, what are your thoughts about it?
Well, Pisces, I'd like to talk about Venus, which is the planet of art, beauty, and relationships. So, Venus begins this month in your 11th house, which is the house of friends and networks. So, you may be feeling a lot more gregarious during that time where you want to get together with a huge group of buddies and enjoy socializing. Venus is also the planet of love. So, if you are single, you might have a little extra luck dating on apps and websites because the 11th house rules networks of all
Hmm.
kinds. Then, when Venus enters the 12th house on December 19th, you might want to withdraw from the world a lot more and spend more time on your own because Venus, which is the planet of pleasure, may enjoy getting more pleasure in solitude at that time.
Hmm.
Now, Mars is going to be in Scorpio all month, which corresponds with your natal ninth house. And that's Jupiter's house. It's the house of expanded horizons. It's a very kind of fun loving place, too. So while Mars is in there, and that's the planet of energy and drive, you might be feeling extra restless and in an adventurous mood to just kind of go out. It can be a very sort of stir crazy transit, too, if you don't have an outlet for that. Now, Mercury, which is the planet of communication and mentation, enters your 10th house of career on December 9th. And this is a great time for any teaching, writing, reading, or buying and selling at work if your work has to do with any of those things. Then, when Mercury enters your 11th house, again, that's the house of long range goals and friends, on December 28th, you might be spending a lot of your mental energy on sort of thinking and strategizing and planning about your long term goals. You know, the types of goals that you have that take place, 10, 20 years from now, then which get realized, in the next 6 months, for example. And what do you think's going on this month, Jamie?
Well, there are a couple of interesting lunations, and then there's also the movement of Jupiter into Capricorn, which should be quite interesting. So we've got a full moon on the 11th, and that is going to fall. Here's the sun in the 10th house, the moon moving along through the 4th house right here, peaking on the 11th, and a full moon is generally a time when emotions run high. This particular moon is going to have an anxious feel because it falls in the sign of Gemini, which is an air sign, and air signs are not very well equipped to cope with the high emotion of a full moon. So there's something of the feel of a dog chasing its tail, thoughts spinning in circles about the moon in Gemini to begin with. But then when you add the square to Neptune in Pisces, you basically get a situation where there's a feeling of um, that you're having to wait for something, a feeling of being in suspended animation, in a holding pattern, maybe waiting for just the right information or trying to dig out some information that isn't appearing really. And so Neptune adds themes of confusion and mystery to this full moon, which only intensifies that Gemini moon's tendency to just want to ferret out more data. Now, you may notice that this brings that feeling of anxiety to your home. And you might notice that because this moon is falling in the 4th house of home and family, domestic life, heritage, and roots. So it might be that family members are tapping you to kind of talk out their anxieties. And if that happens, then my advice is just wait till the full moon is over. It's going to be felt probably from as early as the 10th, as late as the 12th. After that, the mood of anxiety should dissipate. And anything that couldn't be figured out during the full moon should be able to come clear after that. So, you may just be in a waiting space, and that's okay. And that might be the best advice for you to give your family members who are getting anxious about it. Now, later in the month, actually at Christmas time, for those of you who celebrate Christmas, we have got a new moon in Capricorn. And I'm actually going to set this for December 26th so we can see that moon moving into Capricorn with the sun. So this is a new moon, which is generally a time for planting seeds, for new beginnings, for a sense of rebirth. However, this particular new moon is also an eclipse, and we know that because here's the south node right there hanging out with the sun and moon. And an eclipse is a time when we are forced to look at our shadow. Now, there are two kinds of eclipses, solar and lunar. Lunar eclipses, the shadow experience is usually more internal, more emotional, whereas with solar eclipses, the shadow experience is more external, out there where other people can see it. So if you have anything in your chart very close to 4 degrees of Capricorn, and you can watch our video about it to find out more, you'll find it in the December news playlist on our YouTube channel. But if you have anything very near this eclipse, you might really be feeling it strongly. Now, this is falling in your 11th house, as Julia mentioned, of friends, groups, communities. Also, it's a house of brainstorming, of getting a lot of minds together, of ideologies and long-term plans. And so, in any of those areas, you might be experiencing, being forced to look at your shadow, something about you that you don't usually look at, and maybe don't really want to look at. And if that comes up and it makes you uncomfortable, I have really good news, which is Jupiter is here. Now, Jupiter is a planet of joy, happiness, delight. It's a planet of adventure and growth and expansion. It brings a mood of positivity and optimism and hopefulness. And Jupiter transits generally bring opportunities and even luck to the area of life ruled by whatever sign Jupiter is in. Now, this is Capricorn, and it's your 11th house. Capricorn has to do with career, it has to do with authority and professionalism. This is your 11th house, which again is your tribe, your friends, your community. So you might be experiencing shadow coming up in that area because of the eclipse, but the eclipse is short-lived, and the Jupiter transit is going to last all year. So in the greater context, in the bigger picture, this year should be a really good year for you to form friendships, for you to expand your mailing list if you run your own business, for you to do well with social media marketing, again, if you run your own business, for you to increase your Rolodex if you are in a marketing arena of life. And but most importantly, I think this could be a great year for finding your tribe. And what could feel better than that? So Jupiter is going to really mitigate and soften this eclipse. And even if your shadow comes up, you'll be able to grow from it. And it happens right near Christmas. So it's probably going to end up being associated with the holiday in your mind, because that's what we do with astrological influences that fall near holidays. Quite often, the influence itself gets wrapped up with the holiday too. Well, Pisces, if you were thinking about getting a reading, it's a little bit early for your birthday, although it's never too early for a birthday reading if you really want to get a jump on the coming year. But I would think that a natal reading with transits is probably the best approach if you wanted to get it soon. And finding out more about how to engage with your community and tap your community to get the luck that's coming to you this year with that 11th house Jupiter transit would be a pretty good topic to cover. Well, Pisces, I think that's all we've got for you. I hope you enjoyed it. We certainly enjoyed making it for you. And we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.